And now, let's welcome Sandeep on stage. He will be talking about router automation kits.
Hello everyone, my name is Sandeep Mohan Mane. I'm part of a crosswork crack team. Also work for a NSO tooling team, serving as a dev engineer. So today I'm going to present a demo on a customization procedure for the RAG fleet upgrade. So in the field, there are numerous automation solutions are available, which are often vendor specific with the steep learning curve. To address this, we have come up with a series of pre-built CWM workflows with the following functionality. So fleet upgrade keen to swim, which is a device image management software. Then device onboarding, which is similar as a zero-touch provisioning. And golden configuration addresses the compliance check and remediation. So collectively, this aim to offer a multi-vendor capability. So you can see on this slide, so as the top level user, you'll be utilizing these three use cases. So we are addressing a broader set of use cases beyond fleet upgrade. So RAG utilizes NSO and Crosswork Workflow Manager, both are which are individual product. So now I'll go over the fleet upgrade. So here is the list of high-level features that fleet upgrade supports. So fleet upgrade execute the device upgrade simultaneously or in a sequence. It also honors the deployment policies, which honors the execute the upgrades in a batch sizes or honoring the error budgets. It also manages the image distribution, activation, and commit. It execute the upgrade check during pre and post installation check. Also, we can create a customized pre and post MOP, which allow user to extend the pre-existing workflows, which are pre-built into our fleet upgrade. And the last one is like we can also monitor the fleet upgrade job where we are executing the upgrade. Also, our fleet upgrade returns the report of upgrade status. So these are the quick high-level list of our fleet upgrade features. Okay, so on this slide, I have captured the overall overview of a fleet upgrade. So as you can see, there are three categories: administration, operations, and execution. So in the administration, a fleet upgrade do a first few administrative things like user has to provide the input. That input has to be validated with the given devices list, as well as making sure that the input data is having all the mandatory inputs. Also, it does some input deep validation in the supported operation, also go into the NSO and validate all the required things are available to execute this particular input. Also, it go ahead and do some logic or build some logic by honoring the deployment policy, wherein it ensures that how many devices he can execute in parallel, along with the ensuring the error budget will be honored while execution. And at the end, in administrative, it is kind of consolidating the result which we have received from the operation phase and provides the complete output of your fleet upgrade results of our main workflow. So that is part of administration. In the operations, we have multiple operations supported in a fleet upgrade, wherein we have first is the pre-upgrade operation, wherein internally we execute two types of verification. First is the default check. So internally, Fleet Upgrade has a pre-built 7 default check uh, supported to validate that device is valid for the upgrade. And the second set of checks is like a custom MOPs, which we have pre-built or bundled into the Fleet Upgrade. And those custom MOPs are accessible by the customer. So you can that include anything that user wants to validate on the device. So it can be anything, like you can go ahead and do the topology information check or doing the threshold we can check. So all these things is a customizable through the custom MOPs. And after your pre-upgrade check is passed, our Fleet Upgrade start with the install phase, wherein we execute install, distribute, activate, commit. And once install phase is finished, towards the end, we have a post-install check that also includes few set of default checks as well as custom MOPs. And it makes sure that the device is in a state where it expected to be, so that all the operation will be done. And then towards the end, it merge all the result from every operation, and it will hand over that result back to the administrative phase. And now moving on to the execution phase. So in execution phase, we have almost 30 workflows developed as a child workflows, which is making use of these adapters, executing those activities, and performing individual tasks as per the operation we have selected. And once that is finished, it will produce the result of your workflow, merge into the common consolidated result, and that result will be present back to the operation phase. So this is how things are connected. And as you can see, these all things are run and deployed on the Crosswork platform. And these are the two adapters are bundled into our Fleet Upgrade bundle, and which internally uses NSO adapter to connect to the NSO system. And the text parser adapter is heavily used in our product to do some text parsing. So in the nutshell, this is how the Fleet Upgrade works. Okay, so this slide is talking about how you can customize the rack Fleet Upgrade. Okay, so as you can see in this slide deck, we have a pre-built pre-MOP workflows. Like we have developed a few pre-existing MOP, wherein we are doing interface check, route summary check, CFS check. We have few inbuilt validations, and this is a part of a pre-MOP where pre-upgrade check is performed. And the other portion is a post-MOP, which is nothing but a post-install check or post-upgrade check. In that, we are also doing some set of tasks, like doing a pre-built MOP, which will be executed as activity. So you can take every item as a one activity in that particular MOP workflow. So there is a pre-MOP workflow as well as post-MOP workflow. So now some customer wants to introduce a new MOP activity workflow. Okay, so in that in that case, consider, for example, if customer wants to introduce a new MOP activity workflow, for example, config backup, which is not part of our bundled workflows, which is a pre-existing MOP. So how you can solve this problem? So today I'm going to demonstrate how that customer can follow this customization procedure to extend their existing pre-MOP list by introducing a new MOP activity in the existing pre-built workflows, and that will solve their problem. So introducing, so this kind of a procedure, the customization procedure, ensures the alignment with the customer needs by catering the specific requirements. And in this procedure, I'm going to create a new MOP workflow, which enables the user to addition of new MOP activity workflow, which is not part of a pre-built workflows. So I'll moving on to the actual steps. So as you can see in this slide deck, we have only 4 steps which allow user to extend the pre or post MOP. So first step is like in our Fleet Upgrade bundle, we have introduced a few utility script like generator script, which allow user to create a new MOP workflow. So first step is to execute that mop generator script to generate a new mop workflow that they can execute as a part of a pre-install or post-install. So that is the first step. Second step is wherein you have to write your own activity, which you introduce as a new custom checks. So that simple mop activity will be a task 0, task 1. That is the activity. You have to write it as a CWM workflow. And the third step is whatever in the first step you have generated the workflow. So in that particular workflow, you have to do some update, like whatever activity or workflow you have generated or created as a part of second step, you have to use that workflow ID name into the generated workflow file that I will show you where you have to just replace that placeholder wherein you have to just add that name as a activity ID. So that is the third step. And fourth step is just import that particular mop workflow as well as activity workflow into the CWM. That's it. These are the 4 steps. Allow user to create a new mop workflow and introduce their new custom checks. So here in this slide, I have added some detailed CLI commands, which will be helpful for user to go with this command. So first step, as I mentioned, we have that utility script which allow you to create the mop workflow. So in the first step, I have given a script name, then name of the mop workflow, then third argument is like a pre-install. That is nothing but we are telling that I'm going to execute this mop workflow as a part of a pre-mop or pre-install workflow. And -n2 is nothing but I'm going to have 2 mop activities in the part of that mop workflow that I'm going to extend the execution or add those particular activity into my pre-install phase. In the second case, second item is wherein we have to write a new mop activity workflow. So in our case, for example, I'm going to introduce a new mop activity workflow like a config backup. So I have to develop one simple activity workflow wherein I will go and execute the config backup command on a device, and that will be done through this activity workflow. And that workflow will have a logic like how to execute and how to parse the result of output and then return back the result to the mop workflow. So that particular activity workflow user has to write by understanding the CWM workflow. And third step, wherein we have to just replace the activity name. So as I pointed here, like that is the workflow ID. So consider task 0, I want to use like any pre-existing workflow. I'm going to use an interface check as a task 0, and task 1 I will use as a config backup. So in that, I have to just go on that particular workflow ID field and replace with task 0 workflow name. I'll put the actual name there, what the workflow I'm going to, activity workflow I'm going to introduce. So that is the fourth step, which third step where I will modify the generated workflow. And in the fourth step, we have also developed one utility script which allow user to deploy or upload the workflows into CWM. So that utility script is not only for the workflow, you can upload the adapters, resources, you can deploy the workflows. So all the things are supported through that Bootstrap script. But in the current case, I'm using this Bootstrap script to load that workflow into CWM. But this step is also optional. If you don't want to use that script, you can directly go on a CWM UI or use the Swagger REST API to copy over or upload that workflow into CWM. And the fifth step is just instantiate the main free type upgrade workflow with the operation as a pre-upgrade operation, wherein you have to specify the mop name, which is a rack-fu pre-install sample mop, and then simply instantiate that workflow with the input which you want to execute against the device you specified in the input. And once that is done, you will get the workflow results. So these are the steps, kind of a detailed step. This is how you can customize your or add new custom checks into our fleet upgrade without modifying existing workflows, which we have bundled into the fleet upgrade. So on this slide, I've defined the interface schema. This interface schema is specific for the activity workflow. So in our example case, like I'm going to develop a config backup, a particular mop activity workflow. So input schema is like whatever input you have defined for the main workflow, that same workflow will be received by the mop activity workflow. There is no specific schema. Whatever input you have given to the main workflow, that will be pass it on to the mop activity workflow. But in case of output, you have to follow these 3 examples. Like your mop activity workflow can be either successful or failed or warning, right? So once you executed that particular command on a device, you will get the status of that command. depending on the status and output of that command, you can define the result of your workflow, either success, failed, or warning. And you have to follow this particular map object, like a schema. We expect this 4 attribute key values pair should be exist as a output of your workflow, the mop activity workflow. You don't have to do anything for the generated mop workflows. This is the mop activity workflow schema. So we expect status should be either success, failed, or warning. Then message as per your output value of the status. Warning is the empty array list in case of a success or fail. But if you want to, in some cases, you want to just produce the output of workflow as a warning that something is wrong with the device, or that any reason. It depends on what activity you're going to write. But these are the 3 different examples I have provided. This is the interface you have to follow while writing the activity workflow. So I'm going to now quickly demo. So in my demo lab setup, this is how I have things set up. Like first thing is like I have deployed a CWM cluster on one of the vSphere instance, wherein I have taken care of all the bootstrap steps which I have mentioned in the down below. Like using a bootstrap script, I have deployed all the workflows. I have also registered all the adapters as well as NSO and text utility adapter, which internally used by my workflows. And also have a NSO VM instance setup wherein I have XR devices onboarded along with the NED package. And also I do have a fleet upgrade package also installed on NSO box. So this is how I make my fleet upgrade instance, rack instance ready to do any operation that is supported by the fleet upgrade. Now I'll start the demo. So as you can see here, this is my recorded demo on rack fleet upgrade. Sorry, this is giving me trouble. So as you can see here, this is the CWM UI, wherein I have already deployed all the workflows, adapter resources on my CWM instance. So as you can see, these are the list of workflows which we have bundled into the fleet upgrade rack package, wherein you can see these are set of workflows we have developed as a part of a fleet upgrade. In that you can observe there is a rack FU fleet upgrade, which is the main fleet upgrade workflow which user has to instantiate. So we have already given a tag for each and every workflow. So rack fleet upgrade tag is the main workflow. And all our other are supporting workflows which will get utilized in a respective phases, like a pre-install, post-install, or if there is an internal phase workflow. So all are tagged accordingly. And in this other windows, what I have captured, like these are the 2 adapters that we are going to utilize under fleet upgrade. Like first is the NSO adapter, which is released by the CWM team. And second adapter is a rack util, which is developed by our team to do a text parsing. In the resources list, you can see these are the resources we have created. Few resources belongs to the rack util adapter, and there is one NSO instance which is using NSO adapter, and there is a secret created for NSO through which our workflows activity will connect to that resource and execute the specific command towards the device. And in this, these are the set of workflows which get deployed to the rack bootstrap script. Now, in the terminal, I'll go ahead and show the bundle. So this is a rack 1.0 LA release bundle, which I have downloaded from CCO, and I've just extracted here, wherein you can see there are 3 applications as a part of a bundle. I'll go into the fleet upgrade folder. If you look into the fleet upgrade folder, there are couple of folders, like a workflows folder contains all the pre-built workflows, which is developed by our fleet upgrade application. There is a rack bootstrap script as well as mop workflow gen script, which is a utility script, which I have mentioned. There is a NSO folder, which contains the NSO fleet upgrade package, which internally do install phase work operations. And there is adapter folder, which contains the adapter packages, which we have released as a part of a fleet upgrade. So here in this particular command, I am showing the usage of that particular utility script, mop workflow gen.py. So as you can see here, these are the supported argument. Like first is the name of the workflow you have to specify, like a pre-install or post-install. And second argument is the phase you are going to use that workflow. And the third argument is the number of tasks you are going to introduce in that mop workflow. Okay. So here in this step, I am going to create one mop folder. And in that mop folder, I will go ahead and simply generate the new mop workflow, which I'm going to use that workflow into pre-install phase. Okay. So this is the command, like a script, utility script name. Then second one is my mop workflow name. Then pre-install phase where I'm going to utilize that script, and the -n2 is I'm going to have a two task, like a two activities I'm going to introduce in that generated workflow. So you can see here, I have created that or generated that custom mop workflow, which I named it as a pre-install mop one. You can see the tags also get updated, like I'm going to utilize this particular generated mop during a pre-install phase. I have just go over this generated file, like there are error definition, and then you can find out there are portion for task 0 as well as task 1. So in the task 0 state, you can see we are invoking one of the child workflow, which is nothing but your activity workflow name. So you can see here, the workflow ID attribute is coming up with that particular field which you have to replace with the actual name of the activity. And other things are pretty common, like we execute that child workflow. Then in the second state, we go and validate the output of that command. If all went successful, then it will move on to the task 1. And task 1 also follow the similar pattern. Once we finish with the So, and once we're done with the task 0 and task 1, these are the commonly generated states wherein we perform some kind of a validation of what data we want to return it back to the parent workflow. So herein we have captured like output, like activity name, and what are if there is a success scenario, fail scenario, or warning scenario, those things will get auto-generated by our generated script. And now I'm going to create one more mop activity workflow, which is a config backup, which I'm going to introduce as a new a custom activity workflow. So in that, I already have a workflow created for a config backup. In that, this is the definition of that config backup workflow, map activity workflow. It is similar, like it has a defined tags wherein it will get invoked. The name of the workflow, map activity workflow, which is a rackfu config backup. And this is the state wherein we execute the config backup commands on a device through the NSO NED. Okay, so this is the command I'm going to execute. And output of that command I'm validate in this second state, wherein I mark that execution went successful, my file got saved or not. If it is something went wrong, you will get into the output is invalid and you will error it out. And these are the three cases, like as I showed you the interface schema, like in a success case, I'm returning the activity output is like this, like I have mentioned in that file. And once that is, depending on the status of that command, it will return back. So you can see here, I went into the first workflow, which is my generated mop workflow, where I will replace the workflow ID name with the actual name. So I'm going to use the interface summary as my pre-built workflow as a task 0. And the task 1 is the workflow which I created, like a config backup. So that I will invoke as a task 1. So this is the new mop workflow I will gonna call from my fleet upgrade as an input, wherein it will internally execute this two mop activity as a part of a fleet upgrade workflow instantiation. Like a first will be interface summary, and second one is the config backup. So always make sure whatever name you have specified as a workflow ID, it should matches with the name of your workflow. And if that is incorrect, in that case, your fleet upgrade workflow instantiation might fail with the error saying that workflow is not exist. Okay. So now you can see here, I'll go ahead and use the rag bootstrap script, okay, which will help me to deploy or copy over that workflow into the CWM. I'll go ahead and execute that on a mop folder, because mop folder where I have created these two workflows, one is a generated workflow, and other one is a activity workflow, which is a config backup. So interface summary is already pre-built workflow. I used as a task 0, which I don't have to deploy it on CWM. I have only two remaining left that I have deployed through this utility script. Now you can see the output is a success, and it is got deployed successfully. And in this UI, I'm just going to verify that is those workflows got deployed successfully, means is getting copied correctly or not. Like there are some fields available, like you can search the workflow by tags name as well as definition name. So here we have copied two workflows, right? Pre-install mop1 and config backup. So you can verify the definition of pre-install mop1, making sure that your workflow ID showing interface summary and config backup. So that is the workflow. And also you will find the config backup also get created in this workflow list. So if you go above and put it, the name on the workflow definition name, you will find it. It is now present in the list, like a config backup. So that is present now as I have deployed through the Bootstrap script. It is available in CWM. And I'll just open up the pre-install mop1 workflow, which I have deployed through the Bootstrap script and which I have created manually through the generated script. We'll go ahead and open it here. So as you can see here in this first name is the interface summary, the task 0, and task 1 is the config backup. So as you can see, this is the updated workflow which I have deployed on CWM. Now we'll go ahead and run this fleet upgrade, main fleet upgrade workflow, like saying mop test demo. So here I'm just instantiating with this input, specifying the mop name as my generated workflow name, specifying all the required field like a resource ID, vendor, model name, and I just instantiated. So as you can see here on a job UI of a CWM, I will observe that I have only selected one operation for this instantiation, which is a pre-upgrade, and I specified the mop name. So you will see here, firstly, my default check will be performed. There are 6 or 7 default or standard check will be executed against the device, like a package summary check, config backup check, disk check, redundancy check, your platform check. So all this will be happen as a default check. And once the default check is successful, it will move on to the mop workflow, which I have attached to this pre-upgrade operation. So once this operation default check finish, you will see it is calling my generated mop workflow, which is a pre-install mop1. See here, it invoked that pre-install mop1 in that first task is executed, interface summary. And after interface summary, config backup is invoked. And it is still in running stage. And once the config backup is done, your workflow will be in a completed stage. That means, as I selected only one operation, so it just went through that new mop workflow and executed. And once this workflow is completed, you go ahead and validate the output of my main workflow. If I went into it, you can see here, there is a result object augmented into the fleet upgrade input data, and that has a status as a success for that given device name. That means the pre-upgrade operation has been successful for that given mop name, and it executed both activities as a part of that execution. So I went on the device and see the data inside the hard disk folder. So as you can see here, there is a running config file get generated as a part of this execution. So that means your new activity got executed from the fleet upgrade, and it shows the output as a success. So that is successful, and this is where my demo ends. Okay. And now, so this is all about how you can customize a rack fleet upgrade. Thanks for listening my session. Do you guys have any question on customization procedure for the rack fleet upgrade?
Multi-vendor, is it, can I upgrade different vendors?
So recently in April we had a released on CCO FCS build, that is a 1.0 LA release. In that we are supporting only the XR devices, only Cisco devices is supported, all family like EXR and LIN devices. But in upcoming future releases 1.1, we will have a support for a multi-vendor like XR, XE, Juniper.
That's only for fleet upgrade though. So the other
Yep.
two, device onboarding, gold config, are multi-vendor tested.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I have stickers for CWM and rack, so if you want them, please come get them.
All right, thank you very much.